Let's talk about frenemies. Now, for anybody who may not know what a frenemy is, it's literally in the word. It is a combination of the word friend and enemy. Now, for most of us, the people that we view or have viewed as friends are actually frenemies. And the reason I say that is not because this person is necessarily maliciously out to destroy you, but instead because they're doing so at an unconscious level. Example, if you have somebody in your life who does not want to see you change for the better for any given reason, I don't care how caring, how compassionate it may seem, if they do not want to see you change, they're not a friend, they're an enemy. Like they say, the road to hell is oftentimes paved with quote unquote good intentions. So you may be trying to lose some extra pounds, maybe a few, maybe a whole lot. You want to get in better physical shape. However, you have a circle of friends or a specific individual, quote unquote friend, who continues to belittle, who continues to strip away from the very goal that you have. They find ways to subvert the thing that you have intended to do that's going to better your life. They may be doing this simply because they feel as if you do lose that weight, if you do become fit, then you're going to stop hanging out with them. You're no longer going to hit the taco trucks with them, late at night. You're no longer going to, hit the after hour spots and drink bottomless mimosas or whatever else it may have been that you were doing with these individuals. Because you're no longer going to be engaged in the same activities, they fear that change is going to mean, number one, that you're going to leave them in some way. You're going to be rejecting them. And number two is that you're going to become a mirror of the things that they know they're supposed to do, but they probably don't want to. Now, in rare situations, you're going to have one, maybe two, God willing, you have the entire group who is influenced and impacted by your positive behaviors. But in most cases, like in my case, at 19 years old, getting out of an addiction, getting out of the streets, when I stopped selling dope, when I stopped using dope, in a group of the homies, at least 5 of us on a daily basis, I'm the only one who left the lifestyle. 3 of them now, before the age of 30, are in a box in the ground right now. One of them has been in and out of prisons, right? That's been the outcome. And I had to make a decision to separate myself from these individuals, not because I said they were bad, not because they were evil or anything of that nature, but because the lifestyle in which they were embodying, the way in which they were living, was no longer congruent with what I wanted for my life. And I understood that I can't change this environment. I have to change my environment. You understand me? If I'm going to live a life that is no longer dysfunctional and toxic, I must create an ecosystem of health, of vibrance, of vitality for myself. And so I had to separate myself from that. Was it difficult? It was the most difficult. I often say that it was easier for me to leave behind the chemical dependency than it was the people dependency, because they were like this mirror for me. They were, I call my brothers, my boys, my road dogs, my day ones. But more than anything, I saw them as a mirror of my identity. And so leaving them would mean that I no longer had that sense of identity. Who was I now? Now I was going to be, essentially a nobody, searching for some sense of identity, some sense of meaning, some sense of belonging, some sense of attachment to others. And so, again, I found myself in a situation where the ones around me simply could not see why it was that I would change the way that I was living. And I knew that I had to. This was literally a matter of living or not. And so I made that decision. And you find yourself in situations where the only reason you stay in those same habitual patterns is because you are afraid to lose who you believe is a friend to you. You are afraid because you spend so much time, you invested, you feel so guilty because you've known them since childhood, or, maybe you feel obligated for some reason, or whatever else that rationalizing process, the rational lies that you tell yourself are, you are holding on to this quote unquote friend, which is a dynamic that is holding you in direct opposition to what you love. I have heard enough of these situations where, the girlies, right? They talk about the girlies, like homegirl, she's got her friends and, they've been clubbing, they've been partying, they've been doing this, living a certain way, but she always had a desire to start a family, to have a family and, to live that healthy, functional family life. But her friends are nothing like that. And so, she starts to pursue that desire for herself. maybe starts to move a little different. But instead of receiving, some sense of support, she receives backlash for it. Now it's at an all-time high because you see it on social media. Somebody is literally doing things that are serving and helping them and their community, the ones around them. That is the healthiest thing they could do for their children, etc. And all you see is a comment section filled with individuals who essentially are projecting their own insecurities. That's all that really is, right? We're trying to keep them. It's the crabs in a barrel. They're trying to drag the other crab back in so it does not escape. We would rather have you in here with us in this limited little box of ours, in this limited little space of ours, than we would have you get out and experience freedom. We would rather see you suffer with us than for you to thrive by yourself. Or even for us to thrive with you. Instead of even just, maybe we could help each other out the bucket. No, we're going to drag you down. And unfortunately, this is the experience that a multitude of people have when they're now changing. And I get it. It makes perfect sense when you've lived out a certain script and people have familiarized you with that script that you were living out. So let's say you have shown up as the one who, wouldn't take care of your health. You're not eating the right foods. You're not, exercising. You're staying up real late into the wee hours of the night. You're going out all the time. You're not responsible over your mind, your emotions, and your actions. When you are living in that way, and then all of a sudden make a decision to change, and the ones who are around you, who you call friends, your inner circle, your tribe per se, when they are still living in the very same way that you once were, that's going to seem as a threat. It's going to change the script, and it's doing so without their permission. And so what they're going to do, oftentimes unconsciously, is try to bring you back, try to reel you back into the person you once were to make them feel comfortable. We use each other as human beings as an antidote, as a drug of sort. Right? Some people are suppressant. Some people are an upper. You know what I mean? You got, okay, this one I know he's going to make me forget about my woes because he's going to make me laugh. He's my upper. Okay, she's going to really, she's going to really, go deep into the weeds with me. And we're just going to, we could really complain about all the things that are, she's my depressant. We have people and we use them as a fix. And when you no longer become that for somebody and you flip that script on them and you start to write a new script for yourself and you start to demand something higher of yourself, it's going to seem to be a threat. And I say this, and I don't say it with any malice in my heart. It's not they're evil, they're bad, but I say it a simple truth, is that anybody who is in opposition to your highest good becomes an enemy to your good. It's really as simple as that. What else is an enemy besides that? What else is an enemy besides an individual who is seeing you, perceiving you as somebody that they have to bring back down? That's the definition, clinical definition, a Webster-esque definition of what an enemy would be, is somebody who wishes harm upon you. Because again, if you're, let's say, you're getting off a certain substance, you stop drinking, right? And a person wants you drinking again. They want you hurting yourself again. They want you harming yourself. Excuse me? Make that make sense. So we have to face this reality within our own lives. And again, I'm not here to make a decision for anybody. I'm just here to have the conversation and to speak truth to power. But I had to make decisions throughout my life to separate myself, to remove myself. And it made me realize something, is that, the relationships we have are extremely valuable with others, but nothing will ever trump the relationship you have with yourself. And most of us trade in the relationship with ourselves for a relationship with another. This comes in the form of intimate relationships, right? Romantic relationships, in friendship, familiar relationships, whatever. We want that validation of the other so badly. We yearn for it so badly that we're willing to trade in our own value system. We're willing to trade in the things that are going to better our own lives in order to have those individuals see us in a certain light. I don't know where they do that at. Not here anymore. I will cut that cord immediately if I realize what this truly is. And I know that this may be the first time. You may be questioning for the first time, like, man, this has been, homeboy, homegirl for the longest. This may, And yeah, if you can have the conversation, have the conversation. If you're the type of if you're the type of person who can bring up that level of, confrontation. I'm not saying conflict as far like I'm just saying you can confront an issue, you can speak to an issue directly. If you're that type of person, do so. Absolutely do so. But if you know yourself and you know, this person, they won't budge, they won't even go there. What opposition you've tried to have the conversation, whatever it is, then your answer is simple. Your answer is simple. Distance is the most powerful antidote. Distance will speak volume. And in some cases, they distance themselves. Like when you start to succeed, I started getting this, right? When I started, popping more on social, my music is starting to go off. We got people on TikTok and stuff doing dances and all kinds of stuff. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody, actually, for all support. I realized that some people start to distance themselves a little bit. These are people real close. They start to, I don't know. Because they feel triggered. They feel some type of way. And that's okay. And it's better they do it than me because, they make my job easier. But if I got to do it, I will. Because I understand now that a friend is somebody who supports you. They want the best for you. A friend is somebody who might tell you something that you don't want to hear. Maybe half the time. They're going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you the thing that's going to serve you. If you're doing something that's going against your greatest good, that's not working. That ain't it. Nope, not that. They're not trying to control you, but they're pointing things out to say, that's not going to serve you. That's not going to serve you. Keep your own promises. You said you're going to do this. Stick to the thing that you said you were going to do. That's a person who loves you. The person who truly, genuinely, and authentically loves you is going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you, to kick it with them at 2 a.m. at night. I remember my homeboy, his grandma used to say, ain't nothing open this late at night besides bars and legs. I said, girl, you ain't lying. You are not lying, my friend. Yeah, this is an important conversation to have with ourselves. Who do we have around us and why? Because, we're conditioned, made to feel so guilty about, quote unquote, making people feel bad. When instead, we are really saying no to ourselves in order for us to say yes to everybody else. We are disowning ourselves in that process, and we end up in one situation after other that ends up in conflict, that ends up in turmoil internally. And that can't help but leak out into our real lives. We end up unfulfilled, and we end up blaming those around us for the unfulfilled life. And in truth, it was nobody else's job to begin with. So, you got to make a decision for yourself, but you got to start viewing things from a realistic standpoint. Are these people in my life truly serving? And again, I'm not just saying like it's not because it all revolves around me. It's because you're probably the person who's going to do that anyway. If you're a hater of yourself, or you're somebody who's going to strip away, or you're insecure about somebody's success, then you got to deal with that stuff by yourself. Separate yourself from somebody's winning, right? Do yourself a service today and separate yourself from somebody's winning. But if you are somebody who is genuinely just you move in that way anyway, then it's going to be a tough conversation to have, but you got to have the conversation with yourself because you're helping nobody by being unsuccessful. You're helping nobody by staying the very same way. If you do not transform, you can't inspire the ones who want to be inspired or need to be inspired. If I didn't step away from that lifestyle, as opposed to, if I just stayed in that lifestyle as opposed to leaving that lifestyle, I couldn't be able to talk to you about my experiences, a multitude of them. And to be able to at least impact one or a few or a whole lot of lives. And so you are destined to be somebody who is going to change at least the lives of those who are around you. Imagine your kids are able to see you transform in that way. Those who are around you or even those you will never meet may seem like strangers, but you put yourself out there and you show your journey, and those individuals are going to be deeply impacted by your experience, as opposed to those who are the seemingly closest to you, who are really trying to hold you in that very same place. And you can make the decision to cut that cord. That's all I got.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's not. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light.